All right, today we're going to look at example 7 from lesson P3 in your pre-calculus book. This is found on page 37 of your textbook. In this particular problem, it's showing you how to rationalize a denominator. Now, the rule says that you can't leave a radical in the denominator. When the radical is not by itself, but with another term, or two terms as we call it, then what we have to do is we have to be able to get rid of that by multiplying by just the square root of 3 here in this example. That wouldn't work because even though you would eliminate it from the second term, you would add the square root of 3 to the first term. So what we have to do is we have to choose what is called a conjugate, which is the opposite. 5 plus square root of 3 you would multiply by 5 minus the square root of 3, because when you multiply those together, you're going to be able to eliminate your the radical in the denominator. Now, by multiplying 5 minus square root of 3 on top and bottom, you're really just multiplying by 1. So you're not changing the value of the problem, just the way it looks. So if you'll notice, 7 over 5 plus the square root of 3. If we multiplied by 5 minus the square root of 3 over 5 minus the square root of 3, which again is 1, if you take the first term and multiply this, the 7 by 5 square roots of 3, you're going to distribute that. So you end up with 7 times 5, or 35, and 7 times the square root of 3, which is 7 square roots of 3. Now, on the bottom, when you multiply the 5 plus square root of 3 times the 5 minus square root of 3, you have to do what we call the FOIL method. So it's 5 times 5, or 5 squared. Then you've got 5 times the square root of 3 with a minus in front of it, so that's minus 5 square roots of 3. Here, though, you have plus 5 square roots of 3, and those end up canceling each other out. So that's why you don't see them here in the problem at all. And then ultimately, you have the last term times the last term, which is minus the square root of 3 squared. Well, when you square a square root, you end up with just that number. So you end up with 25 minus 3, which is where the 22 comes into place here. Okay? Now, let's look at this particular problem here and do the same thing. We're going to choose here to multiply by 4 minus the square root of 5 over 4 minus the square root of 5. Okay? Now, in doing so, I'm going to multiply the 8. I'm going to distribute that. So I'm going to get 8 times 4. Let me just go ahead. At this stage, we know that that's 32. And then 8 times the square root of 5 is going to be minus 8 square roots of 5. On the bottom, we got to do the FOIL method. So 4 times 4, which is 16. The outside is going to be minus 4 square roots of 5. The inside is going to be plus 4 square roots of 5. And then the last term times the last term is just going to turn into a regular 5, because the square root of 5 times the square root of 5 becomes regular 5. Now, these cancel because they're opposites of each other, so you really just end up with 16 plus 5, which is 21. Now, at this point, if there had been anything that would go into all three of those terms, the 8, the 32, or the 21, then you would have to simplify. However, in this particular case, there wasn't. So that becomes my answer. 32 minus 8 square roots of 5 over 21. Hope this was helpful.